This is Coda Radio, episode 584, recorded on August 19th, 2024. Hey friend, welcome in to Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and the business of software development and the world of technology. My name is Chris, and at least one of his identities is our host. It's Mr. Dominic. Hello, Mike.
Misa back by popular request.
Oh, God. Oh, and another one of his identities.
Yes.
Jar Jar, you got to give back the mic. We got 2 shows to do today. I can't.
Misa go, but Misa never leave you again. Every month you see the Jar Jar.
You won't believe what I did yesterday.
Oh, no. What'd you do?
Linux Unplugged has this rule that if we're going to mention Nix once per segment, we take a shot.
I love where this is going.
And we mentioned Nix 3 times that episode. And after the show was over, I went to grab my headphones or something, and I hit my cup, which still had just about a finger, maybe a finger and a half's worth of tequila in it still. My headphones knocked the cup over.
Oh, no.
Right onto the keyboard, right onto the butterfly keyboard with the touch bar.
That's the worst.
Right onto where the touch ID is, the delete key. And I mean, it poured. And it got up on the screen, so I immediately jump up. Of course, these things, and of course I happen to hit the power button too. Not the easiest to just turn the frick off, you know?
No.
So I'm sitting there like, come on, you stupid piece of crap. Power off, power off, power off. It finally turns off, but I could see that there was a little clouding in the corner of the screen before it did. And I just let it stay there propped up, drying all night.
Yep.
Thinking to myself, thank goodness I wasn't drinking that stupid water crap, and it was, alcohol-based.
Alcohol is actually better for spilling into your laptop.
Yeah. Oh, no, it smells like booze. But it turned back on. The delete key, the plus and the minus key don't work. But the power button still works.
They may work again. What kind of booze was it?
Just straight up tequila, clear stuff.
The clear stuff, not the brown.
Yeah.
Okay. So as some might infer, I'm something of an expert in this field.
Yeah, I figured I'd speak to an expert on this.
So tequila is a little sugary, right? So that's not great.
No wonder I like it.
You can. So I had a laptop key issue this last week too. I had to reassemble my spacebar because it wasn't booze. It was just crumbs and crud and
cigar ash.
No, I haven't had one in a while. But yeah, that's the idea, right? Basically, so the problem is the butterfly keyboard is harder than the one I have because it's so sensitive. But it is possible, if you have nimble fingers and a lot of patience, to gently pry the keycap off, to go in there with a alcohol, not like an
isopropyl,
right?
Yeah,
very gently with a Q-tip and just clean out the underneath the butterfly switch mechanism. It's one of those things that you can totally do, but if you screw it up, you're hosed.
Yeah.
So I would almost say, how much do you think you poured in?
About a finger and a half's worth in a cup,
that sucker might just clear itself out. Like the keys might stick a little bit going forward, but it might
I'm amazed it's working. I mean, I've definitely damaged the lower right corner of my screen. So this has gone from a flawless old MacBook. I mean, it's an old MacBook, but flawless. Right. To now clearly seen some
Well, mine is the, what is it? The, I don't know, 20, it's 2-3 years old or something, right? The fancy ass one I bought, the $5,000 one. And it's amazing how, it naturally got a dead pixel, which is driving me insane.
Oh, yeah, that would drive me crazy.
Driving me crazy. I can't unsee it. But over the vagaries of, me, the keyboard no longer lights up.
Oh.
The space bar, because I tend to work in the kitchen a lot. And I think, just crap, right? Like my cats like to lay on it, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Apple Care plus the accidental damage. And it's not exactly free, but it's a pretty good deal given the price of the machine. And it's relative to the price, too.
It's still a usable machine, too.
And it's still usable. I mean, it's going to be usable for a couple more years, right? I have no intention of upgrading anytime soon.
Yeah.
Do you have that? And if you do, what is your threshold for pulling the trigger? Because you have to pay, what do they call it? The customer fee.
Yeah, the deposit basically or whatever. Yeah. Good question. So this is a 2019 MacBook. I think I would probably write it off.
You just write it off, yeah.
But I think anything a bit newer, like if it was an M series, I think I'd probably be compelled to try to get it repaired. Unless the price was, if it was more than $700, then I would just walk.
That makes sense. Well, it's like for mine, it's like $2,000 or something.
It's like all these, if then that.
But 96 gigs, like I think it's a terabyte or 2 terabytes. It's a pretty souped up. You're not going to replace it for anything near $2,000, right? I'm just not sure. Because if I couldn't repair the space bar, I wasn't going to have to do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you're going to walk around with a keyboard on a little Bluetooth.
This is the problem with working on laptops, especially the way Apple makes them, because they're really like one or two pieces. So if you would think, I remember the old Dell days, right? The dude would come to your house or your work.
Right.
Like, oh, I spilled something on it. He'd be like, oh, it's just the keyboard. And literally pop you in a new keyboard in 15 minutes and say, thanks for the cup of coffee. Bye.
Yep. Dell was inspired, of course, by IBM. My classic story of IBM, where I showed up at the office and there was a guy waiting at the front door, and I said, "Can I help you with something?" And he had a box in his hand, and he said, "Yeah, I'm here from IBM, and you have a failed hard drive in one of your servers this morning." And I said, "Oh, good to know." Yeah, let's go replace that. It wasn't a system I was responsible for, so I wouldn't have gotten the alert. But that's how proactive they were.
I think that's great. Apple is, I mean, I will give the Apple Care one thing. Like they really do help you out. It's always, we have to mail it somewhere and you're going to be waiting because, it turns out we have to replace like half of the stuff in your machine.
Yeah, man, I don't know if I'm going to get another Mac. We talked about this last episode, but Sequoia is such a dumpster. And the costs are so extreme and macOS itself is so subpar. I really like the battery life. It's been really great for those moments like when I'm traveling and I need a laptop where the battery lasts for 4 or 5 days. Yeah, it's great for that kind of thing. But I'm feeling like with maybe the Snapdragon, maybe those processors will start to actually, if people want to get an ARM-based system that has good battery life, they're going to have that option outside of Apple soon.
Yeah, I just don't know for development how the Snapdragon on Linux is going to work for like package, like, gems and pip packages and all, jars and all that.
That's a chicken and the egg problem.
All right, but we'll see.
Well, there's the new Raspberry Pi that came out today as we record. It's the Pi 5, but it's a 4 gig model.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, they already had a 4 gig. It's the 2 gig model, and it's $50. So I guess $50 is the new $35.
Yeah.
So you can also, of course, so it goes all the way up to 8. So now it starts at 2. I don't know what the hell you'd use 2 gigs of RAM for. Something headless, obviously. All the way up to 8 gigs for.
Oh, I can see lots of uses for the 2 gig Pi.
Yeah. Headless stuff.
Headless, yeah. No UI.
Yeah. They talked about how they removed a bunch of things inside their die, but yet it has all the same capabilities as all of the other Raspberry Pis, 5s. But they did some sort of kind of vague removal of a bunch of components and somehow saved money. I don't know if I buy it for some reason. It just doesn't. I mean, I'm not trying to claim some sort of conspiracy bacon over this, but maybe I'm frying a little bacon here, but it just, I don't know, we vaguely removed a bunch of features, but it has all the exact functionality. Does that mean they overbuilt the other ones and made them too expensive? What is it? You know what I'm saying?
Or it could be consolidation of components, right? It just got easier to buy what they needed on one, unit, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad to see it cheaper. I wish it could be even cheaper, but I just don't think we're in the era of that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I use these for customers all the time, right? For clients all the time.
You still do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I tend to be using the Pi Zero still just because.
Oh, yeah.
They're they have advantages that are specific to the use case. But I don't know. I also don't see Raspberry Pis not being useful in the future. Although if you're looking pound for pound, there are better options, especially for enterprise use. In particular, if you need very specific stuff, there are tons of vendors that will basically let you not design your own, but pick and choose what features and what components you actually need. Where with the Raspberry Pi, you're kind of getting what you get, and you might be paying more than you want to. So, yeah, you could also build a network-attached storage.
I was going to ask about that. What do you use? Do you have a NAS at your house? Do you have any kind of network-attached storage for the business, a central storage? Because we're doing on the back end for the last couple weeks and for the next few weeks, we're retooling a whole bunch of stuff, kind of moving off of VPSs and either going to colo or we're going to self-hosted on LANs. And I'm just looking at my storage and I'm thinking I don't want to spend a ton of money, but I'm kind of curious what people out there are doing, including you and the audience. So please boost in and tell us. We'll be pre-recorded for next week, but when we get back, I'd love to see what people are using for like practical storage solutions for their home lab or for a small business. But are you using cloud storage? Like what is your sort of we need to store stuff for the business solution right now?
So years ago, we used to have like when we were pure Apple shop back in Jersey, we used to have a time machine basically on a Mac Mini server, which really we didn't use any of the Apple specific stuff. It was effectively a shared drive, shared NAS, right? More recently, when we had the office in Plant City, I kind of just jerry-rigged together a little server with a bunch of Western Digital drives on it. And that was, I think, what was it running? Was it Samba? It was something weird because we had Windows people too.
Yeah, probably Samba then.
I think it was Samba. Now I have nothing. I probably should. But since we're totally distributed, a local network attack storage, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
That's the thing is with all this work from home and or like you and I, where our companies have always been distributed, cloud storage is so much more practical from a cost standpoint and from a team accessibility standpoint that I've invested over the years in storage, and then I kind of pulled back and went back to cloud for some things, or went up to like a object storage. That's what we've been using for like all of our production assets and all of our stuff that's in progress. It's all on object storage.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like any other solution I would do, it would be tough to beat Google Drive.
Yeah,
because most of the things I want to share, if they're code or that code related, or on GitHub, right, or our internal GitLab. So we're really talking mostly documents here,
right? I'm thinking kinds of applications, some of them that are identical, but they're just being used for different people that have common sets of data and storage. So it'd be nice to centralize the data into something. And traditionally what I've done is I've built giant, I've got like a super micro system that's got 14 drive slides in it or something like that. And I'll just load it up with the biggest drives I can afford at the time. It's a Linux box, and I just turn it into a file server. And I'm not opposed to that, but it's been a while since I've had a look at this, and I'm just wondering if that's what people are doing these days. Have like some of the appliance NASs gotten to a point where small businesses are comfortable using them? I'm old enough to remember the Drobo, Mike. You remember the Drobo?
Oh, yeah. I was tempted by the Drobo several times.
Oh, I bit from the apple a couple of times and regretted it. I tried a couple of different generations of Drobos because there's always they always had this promise that this next Drobo would solve all the problems. Right. Yeah, that would be the one. No, it was not the one. Coder.show/boost. Yeah, you can boost from the web now. And here's why we like the boost. There is no middleman. I think you'll probably recall we were just recently talking about Patreon and how they're changing the whole deal on their creators. I mean, they're claiming Apple's making them do it, but then why make everyone change even outside the app? Like these kinds of things you don't want to build a foundation on top of. And we want to do this for another 15, 20, 30 years, as long as the old voice box holds out. We don't want a middleman. The other thing that is a real reality the last couple of years is sats are a scarce asset. There's only 21 million Bitcoin total. So what you're doing is when you're boosting sats. You're helping the network hedge against currency debasement. Inflation hits small businesses excruciatingly hard. And for the media business, the ad rates, or just have been going down in some cases, or just completely gone, combined with the cost of business going up because of inflation. So with sats, we can be strategic in our timing. We can hold on to them if we want, or if we need to cash them out now, we can. But the big thing is we don't have to worry about inflation melting away a strategic reserve that we can pull from as the network has expenses. And then a big one for us, it's all an open standard, and it's all open source. From the monetary unit on the network to the self-hosted infrastructure to receive the boost, and everything in between that glues it all together. It's all open source. It's all self-hosted. It's programmable money, and the workflow is only getting easier for you and the podcaster. You grab the Strike app, try out something like Fountain, link them up, and you're set. Or you can boost from the web, too. You don't even need the Fountain app anymore. And if you send a boost of 2,000 sats or more, we'll read your message on the show. It's a powerful system, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe you want to put your membership on autopilot. Well, we got a version for you. You go to coder.show/membership, and you'll also get an ad-free version of the show, i.e. you won't have to hear this anymore. If you use the promo code SUMMER as well, you can take $1 a month off forever! The Coder program is an acquired taste, and we appreciate your support. Either a membership or a boost. It means a lot to us, and it keeps us going. That's coder.show/boost to boost from the web, or coder.show/membership to put your support on autopilot. Well, it feels like some wrecking balls may be headed towards some of these walled gardens. The U.S. antitrust case against Google is taking a dramatic turn. Also, the judge in the Epic case says, quote, he'll be tearing down the barriers on Google's App Store monopoly, which also sounds pretty bad.
It's pretty ominous.
Yeah.
Sounds
like the Justice Department is exploring breaking up Google into like multiple pieces, Android, Chrome, AdWords. I wish YouTube was on there. YouTube absolutely should be its own business. I mean, this is major stuff, Mike.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how Apple basically, it seemed like all these Epic suits, Apple, since they were first up, basically was able to parry it off more or less, right? And
this is still going to blow back on them.
This is absolute because it's going to be a precedent, right? And Google I think it's weird, right? I think it seems like from the reporting, the judges, what seems to be bothering him is Google's weird deals with carriers and manufacturers, which, I could see it. I
think also that the ad deal where like the deals with Mozilla and Google, I think are also kind of lumped into that.
Well, and Apple, right? Like it's...
Yep.
I mean, what was it Eddie Q who went on the stand? It was like there was no price Microsoft could pay us.
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah,
they could give us the whole company. We still wouldn't do it.
We don't want it.
We don't
want it.
Which I don't know if like Eddie Q's looked at Microsoft's quarterly reporting recently. I think you want Microsoft. I think if Satya Nadella comes to you and is like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna sign everything over to you. You guys can control Microsoft. You just got to make Bing the default." I think Uncle Tim would be like, "Hang on, Eddie. Hang on, just let's talk. Let's talk to Satya for a moment, right?" Like,
I think they just say, "Screw it, we'll build our own." Okay, what about this one? What about this? The judge is considering that perhaps Google should be forced to share some of the data they collect with competitors.
I hope they don't do that, only because that's just going to generate tons of future lawsuits.
Oh, and Google will absolutely figure out a way to make money from that.
And to not
comply. Google will accept that, but they'll argue that they get to charge for it because there's a legitimate business expense, right. So they'll end up making it a profit center.
Right. They'll make it a profit center.
But they become like this giant spying apparatus that has their fingers in the most popular browser, the most popular ad system, the most popular video system, the most popular search, the most popular phone. Like they got Chrome, they got everything, Mike, and they have data signals from all of that, and then they would share that with people? That would be horrendously bad.
I mean, I don't think it's great. I'm a little curious if we're going to have any justice for the Yelps and Kayaks of the world here. And hey, Google scraped all our websites and then decided to compete with us and put us on the second page.
Yeah.
It's... I don't know. This is the problem. How many years were we covering the Oracle?
Right. Well, and the Epic thing's still going on, too. Like we're going to hear in a couple of weeks about the Google Play case and Epic. Like that, the final decision's just a couple weeks away. Maybe by the time the show's back from our pre-record.
Well, and the Apple Epic thing is still going on because the EU feels that Apple hasn't complied with their requirements, right?
Yep.
And Apple seems to agree since they keep changing the rules. So
no one saw it coming. No one could have seen it coming, Mike. No one at all.
Yeah.
Nope, no one could have seen it coming. So GitHub has started rolling out Copilot Autofix. It's a new addition. It analyzes vulnerabilities in your code. It offers suggestions so you don't ship those vulnerabilities and you can fix them. I guess this went into production on the 14th of August, 2024. quote, Copilot Autofix analyzes vulnerabilities in codes, explains why they matter, and offers code suggestions that help developers fix those vulnerabilities as they are found. Well, problem solved, Mike.
Yeah, I understand the skepticism here, but I actually like this. I saw a lot of bashing about this online, but that's like saying, well, my daily vitamin's not going to guarantee that I don't get heart disease or cancer. Like, sure, but it helps. Like, I'll take this.
Yeah,
it's a suggestion, right? Think about all these common vulnerabilities that lead to ransomware attacks, like obvious SQL injection vectors that everybody can make a mistake. I would certainly be eager to use this because just a little more security.
Yeah, I think where my skepticism comes from is I feel like 1 out of 3 times I use one of these large language models, I get scolded for asking something that's controversial when I wasn't. Like, it often gets it wrong and scolds me.
Don't ask OpenAI about Objective-C. It's been brainwashed.
I
hates.
So I guess this is silly because it's whataboutism, but I worry that we're going to have a point where people will start using these tools and they're writing a project and the AI, the LLM, let's just be fair, the large language model that's just more sophisticated at some point, says, hey, man, this doesn't look like it's a moral application, or this app looks like it could cause political harm, or this app looks like it might spread misinformation. I don't think you should publish this.
So that's a different thing than what this autofix is doing.
I know.
Right.
I just start thinking why I went there is because more and more we have these things watching what we're creating. And they're only going to have more context. They're only going to have more understanding, more language capabilities as time goes on. So the scope of what they're watching is going to increase. And, I would imagine they'll be watching multiple things at once, so they'll be able to draw more information together. And it's only going to get more powerful unless they abandon this, which they're probably not going to. They're probably going to continue to iterate.
I mean, to your point, I could see a real world where you open your Messages app or whatever app you're using, and let's say you're in a fight with the missus, or who knows, right? There's a million things that could happen. And it's like, do you really want to send that? Now, that is a huge, but they're already reading all your stuff anyway.
They'll call it the Linus filter. Do you remember how Linus supposedly created a whole bunch of filters so that way he doesn't send out?
On the mailing list, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Wes brings up a good point in the chat. What I use it, do I worry about proprietary code, and what about the price point? Well, right now it's only available to enterprises, so we don't. That's fair. We don't know the price point, right? Is this just going to be if you already pay for Copilot, you get it, or is it going to be an add-on? Obviously, price is an issue, so I'd have to see. Proprietary code, I do have concerns about that. But there is a balance in like what is not important and what is. For instance, I can give you a perfect example of something I think this would catch. Like, hey man, you're putting their AWS secret keys right in the code base. Don't do that.
That'd be great.
I'm thinking of the dumb cases, or this is a very obvious, where you wrote this SQL query is a very obvious SQL injection attack vector. Right. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm hoping. I agree with you.
I guess I'm picturing like Xcode, right? And the Xcode assistant, and it starts yelling at you when you try to use a private API. I'm picturing, I'm picturing Apple's implementation of this. For example,
it'll just crash anyway. So that's if it's an Xcode, it doesn't matter.
But as far as something that's watching for common vulnerabilities, that seems smart. I don't really have any issues with that. If this is where we kind of keep this stuff. Yeah, right. But if this is where we kind of keep this stuff, I mean, it seems very useful. And they could iterate on just this functionality for years and actually make it very good.
There is this whole world of communication apps that are already trying to do stuff like you've suggested.
That is true, yeah.
It's not like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, communications is a much richer target area than what GitHub is doing.
Right. And I mean, I understand it. We get a lot of feedback about like, blah, blah, blah. It's going to destroy everybody's job. It isn't anytime soon, right? Copilot, OpenAI, ChatGPT. If you're a Python developer, you maybe see the best of it. And even then, I'm impressed, but not that impressed. But like, try a language it doesn't really know. Like, really super bad at Rails. I'm just like, it just gets confused. Sometimes it generates me Python, which I think is great. And that's me just like going into ChatGPT and asking, how would you do this, right? And sometimes it gives me a way that's actually cleaner than what I would have done because I didn't like know about some new API, right? Or some old API, whatever.
Sure.
So I'm not, do I think this autofix thing is going to be my Trojan protecting me from all the possible issues? No.
No, but you could say to your clients that your code has been checked by AI for vulnerabilities. So that's actually worth it right there.
Not only could I, but I will.
Yeah, why not?
I am writing that landing page right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's the hip thing to do, Mike. It's the hip. Well, watch out. Here comes.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We have some breaking news. GitHub broke itself while in between shows. This comes from the Register. They wrote, the Microsoft-owned code hosting outfit says it made a change involving its database infrastructure, which sparked a global outage of its various services. Which did impact me as I was working. And I was one of those guys who was like, hey, is GitHub down? The Verge writes, GitHub experienced some, quote, major issues, which apparently lasted for 36 minutes. I don't know, it felt longer than that to me. But I guess they had to roll back the changes they made. GitHub publicly attributed the downtime to, quote, an erroneous configuration change rolled out to GitHub.com databases that impacted the ability of the database to respond to health check pings from the routing service. As a result, the routing service could not detect a healthy database to route application traffic to. So this led to a widespread impact on GitHub. So I guess something must have happened, because they don't say. But they say, as a result, the routing service could not detect a healthy database to route application traffic to. So then I'm guessing something else, some automated process must have happened that was bad. They said, given the severity of the incident, follow-up items are the highest priority for our work team at this time. To prevent a reoccurrence, we are implementing additional guardrails in our database change management process, and we're also prioritizing several repair items such as faster rollback functionality and more resilience to dependency failures. So there was something that happened. That last sentence there, more resilience to dependency failures, and then combined with that other sentence, the routing service could not detect a healthy database to route the application traffic to. This led to a widespread impact on GitHub.com. So I think they're leaving out, like, something detected an outage and then responded by breaking everything. It broke everything when it responded.
But it is totally like, doing deployments all the time. And I'm sure you would probably agree with this. I could see this happening. Like, this is a way of failing that doesn't seem that outlandish to me.
Yeah, no, it is true.
Right. So, I don't know. They got it back up. It was annoying.
It was annoying. Oh, man. I really don't like it because more and more workflows low-key use GitHub. And so I'm like, well, I guess I'm taking a break for a little bit. I don't know. I wish there was a way for these things to be built more robustly. It's not too uncommon for when we talk, like the Meta one that happened not too long ago, and when we talk about large outages, it's almost always the automation system significantly contributed to the challenges in getting the system back up or even cause the outage. Have you noticed? I'm not trying to dunk on automation. I love automation.
Yeah, or it's like a failure in the DevOps chain, right? Which is also a form of automation. So
yeah. Something we may get into more next week. Perhaps.
Ask not what your podcast can boost for you, but what you can boost for your podcast.
Oh my goodness. A massive upset hits the show immediately. Coming in live during the show, Devitor comes in as our baller booster with 350,000 sats.
Oh boy. Okay, what's going on here?
No one deserves the pain of Objective-C, he writes, or Ruby. Clearly Mike enjoys pain, but we love him, and we want the best for him. So back to Go, we go.
Let's go.
I don't have a big song for Go, actually. I just have... All right, but Mario's pretty great.
Let's go.
Now you have to make one. So
yeah, I guess I do. You're right.
It'll be 2 weeks, but my love of pain and Objective-C that's correlation without causation. That's a fallacy.
350,000 sats. I think he's right.
Chris is like, let me take my bribe. All right, so back to Go we go. Well, then I should point you from was last week or the week before, Seaweed FS, a open source Go project that's relatively new that I am now using in production for flat file, S3 compatible, and active record storage compatible storage. Pure Go. Check it out.
Okay, what about something like the Cat Burns Go song? You know, does that, you know?
Oh, yeah. I don't know this song, but this feels
either.
like every Go developer I've ever met has had a sort of they're cooler than me vibe.
Try calling your stuff. They were.
I don't know. The song's called Go. That's all I know. I feel like Go's a pretty great language. So if we're gonna have an official language, I can live with Go. I'm a little surprised the crabs haven't offended Rust. And then, like, where's the old school Java crew at? Like, where's it? You know, the JVM at least.
Chris,
What?
they're dead.
Oh. Okay.
They're all gone. They went to that JVM in the sky.
The ones that left are doing closure.
Yeah, they're doing what is it, Kotlin? Right? They're all in Belarus somewhere doing Kotlin with JetBrains. No, it's you know why? I'm gonna throw the gauntlet down at the crabs.
Yeah, where are they at?
Too much internal crab pinching.
I kind of like Go as the show's language too. I'm feeling pretty darn comfy with that. A weight's been lifted. So
come on, bracket people. It's time for us to come back to we're not the Murlocs. We need to come back to the surface.
Refactored Rebel comes in with 60,000 sats.
I hoard that which your kind covet.
Here's a digital shekel for your thoughts. Our last episode was a shekel for every click. California will soon start rolling out support for digital driver's license and IDs in the Apple Wallet. They are the 6th state to do so. I'm curious if either of you would take advantage of it if and when it comes to your area. Would you do the Apple ID digital wallet thing in your Apple Wallet thing?
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, I think I might too. You know, I'll be honest with you. I never forget my phone, but I could totally forget my wallet.
I mean, deny later, but there have been times where I've like forgotten my wallet and had to drive, pseudo illegally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, if you travel a lot, I gotta tell you, I have the honor, maybe honor's not the right word here, of being called to the Tampa and Orlando airport security multiple times for simply forgetting to pick up my ID off the stupid security thing.
Yeah, now, not all airports are accepting them yet, but there are airports already that are accepting them.
Well, that would be the killer app for me because I use Apple Wallet for my tickets.
It's so great for that.
Right, and my boarding pass. So if I just didn't have to, it's not. I would still carry. Of course, I'd carry my wallet, and my ID. But something about me when I pull my driver's license out of that little mesh, whatever it's in my wallet, I forget that it exists. Like it's really incredible. I don't lose anything else. I'm proud to say I've never lost my child in an airport. I've never lost a bag. I've never lost a laptop. All that's great. But my damn driver's license, I'm always just like, because I'm always nervous, right? Like I feel a tremendous amount of pressure after I'm inevitably patted down for carrying weird electronic equipment in my carry-on.
Right.
To get dressed as quickly as possible and get my crap off that conveyor belt. And I'm just sloppy.
It's like one less thing to worry about.
Yeah.
Mine falls apart because my wallet has like a little plastic window, and that just rips the ID up over time, so they fall apart.
That too. Yeah.
It's already a state-issued ID. It's already in so many databases. So it's not like it's something that's crazy private.
Well, and I have Clear, so they
got your biometrics.
I've had Clear, and I've done background checks.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of privacy anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, especially when traveling.
Yeah,
it really.
I mean, honestly, anything that can make the TSA feel less like a colonoscopy, I am willing to pay for. Yeah, and whatever you want to know what I ate for breakfast, sure, right? Like, what do you want to know?
I am flying to Toronto soon, and
good luck with the bounties.
It's an international flight, so
it sure is. And you still have to go through. So, fun fact, folks, I've never been to Canada. I'm supposed to go, and I keep somehow screwing that up. You still have to go, even if you can't drive anymore without a passport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still have to go through customs, right?
Yeah, it's drive-through customs, unless they want to pull you aside.
I mean, really, what are you stealing? Like, what are you smuggling in from Canada?
Well, if it's Washington, it might be cannabis. It's legal on both sides of the border, but they really don't like it when you take it across the border. that's
That's like Pennsylvania used to pull people over from New Jersey for having too much beer in their trunk.
Oh my god!
Because Pennsylvania has a law that you have to pay over. You can carry like 2 or 3 cases, but anything more, so this is a dumb, very specific PA fact. The state of Pennsylvania runs and owns all the liquor stores. So they're very pissy, and they have a very high tax on it.
Sure.
So they're very pissy about you going to Jersey, which surprisingly high taxes on everything else. But if you want to get bombed, the Garden State is here for you.
I wonder, when I cross the border, should I say I'm doing it for work? Should I just say I'm visiting friends? Like, does it make a difference?
From where? From Canada?
Yeah, when I'm going in or out of Canada, because I'm going to be flying directly from Washington to Toronto.
I would say business every time. I mean,
You do? You just say biz?
yeah, because I had a business meeting with a client.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I mean, why would they even ask? That's
They
what
do
I don't
that.
get.
What's your purpose? What's your purpose for visiting?
I know they ask. I just don't. I've been asked that on domestic flights because, fun fact, kids, cable management in your carry-on bag. The TSA
Yeah.
gets real jumpy.
I've also been told not to stack things in your
Yeah.
bag. Like certain tech things, don't stack them. That looks suspicious. My microphones always look like pipe bombs. And then, of course, those XLR cables look like some sort of wire that, is probably used for...
Well, I had those BeagleBone boards that I was using a couple years
Oh,
back.
you're a hacker.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was coding on the plane. The stewardess says, "Sir, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
So I'm like, and of course, smart ass me. He's like, "Oh, I'm, hacking." I'm joking. Yeah, don't. I actually had to have that conversation with my son today. There's certain people you don't joke with because they will.
I had to have that conversation with my kid, too, about schools. Like, don't tell him that. Don't.
Yeah, I know you're joking, but yeah, it was the same conversation. I know you were joking, but they're gonna freak out, and yeah.
The Hilton in Las Vegas was rating the attendees of DEF CON, and the staff had these flyers. And on the flyers, it said they could be a hacker if, and it had things like thumb drives, Raspberry Pi type, SBC boards on there, breadboards,
Pineapples.
Yeah, pineapples, the flipper stuff.
Yep.
Some stuff that's just totally, innocuous, and other things that, like a lockpick.
So someone went to hack5.org, found their YouTube channel, watched a little, not Shannon Doherty, that's the actress, it's Shannon Morris, right? And was like, oh my God.
I know, and they raided people's room and forcibly removed them from the room so they could search to make sure none of them were hackers.
They're all hackers. It's DEF CON.
I know, it's so stupid. So
yeah.
It's just the normies have always had had sort of like this aggressive thing about technology, but Adversary 17 comes in with 15,000 sats.
Put some macaroni and cheese on there, too.
I agree.
Horrible.
He says, thanks for the recommendation to C++. I'm wind blows at work, so Microsoft docs are actually fine. My goal would be maybe to contribute to some FOSS projects out there that I use, like the KDE software, which is cute, and C++. That's the real long-term goal, but I got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the follow-up. I'm glad to get a little more context there, Adversary 17. Mr. 17. And, the nice thing about C++ and Qt is you could end up, shipping something on Windows that uses that as well. So if you built something, maybe later on you get a skill set in that and work needs something, you could probably create something for them too, or it's something you could build for Linux, obviously. So it's a pretty smart way to go. That's my opinion, if I do say so myself. Thank you, everybody who boosted it. We will not have the boost in the next episode, but we'd love to get your support, and then we'll follow up when we get back. We had a nice little batch of support. Not a bunch of boosters, but the ones who boosted in this week really made the difference, especially Devator, who was our baller booster. We had 5 boosts.
The gopher.
Yeah, that was great. We had 5 boosts. We also had 17 sat streamers out there who were just listening and streaming sats in the background. And when you bring it all together, we stacked 448,788 sats. Thank you, everybody who supports the show that way. We really appreciate it. You can get a new podcast app at podcastapps.com, like Fountain or Podverse or Castomatic, and you can boost. You also get the new features, like the cloud chapters. Podping means you get to see an episode's release within about 90 seconds of it actually being posted on our CDN, which is Pretty awesome. There's also transcripts in many of the apps. The boosts are in there as well as lit support and a bunch more. You can get a new podcast app to support the show, or you can become a member at coder.show/membership. And thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. Before we run, you were sharing something with me that I've seen making in the rounds this week, but I just wanted to let people know about one of the coolest things ever, at least so far this year, and it's Diablo 1 for the freaking web browser.
Stay a while and listen.
Did you try it?
I did. I played it. I played their.
Yeah.
So it's actually sophisticated enough where if you want to play the full game, you actually have to upload your .mpq file from a real licensed Diablo game.
That's actually kind of cool for me, though, because it's a Windows game, so I could play it on Linux.
Yeah, but you can just do the shareware version.
Yeah. You could also just play the shareware version, which is fun if you just want to experiment.
I mean, it's, for the folks who are talking in the Element chat here, or I'm sorry, the Matrix chat, this is another testament to the web language, was TypeScript, JavaScript. Yeah, it is a pretty faithful, I would say almost 100% faithful. They did make some changes, mostly because of vagaries of the web browser. Not vagaries, but differences between that and, a Windows 95 machine.
Yeah. Oh my God, is it that old?
Yeah. So it's pretty good. It does remind me how much Diablo 1 has aged, and I realized
Yes.
I really like Diablo 2 better.
Yes, Diablo 2 is the winner for me, too.
This is the winner.
Yeah.
But it's
still pretty neat to see. It really is. So they write on the GitHub page, I've modified the code to remove all dependencies and expose the minimal required interface with JS, allowing the game to be compiled into WebAssembly. That's pretty slick. And then event handling had to be modified significantly to fit the JS model, especially the menus, he writes. I bet. It's funny because it's been around for a little while, but I really saw it getting around and getting some, I don't know if they made some major change recently, but I saw it getting a lot of love just this week. I don't see any recent updates, but kind of amazing that you can just do something in a web browser that used to take all of my old computers, like specialized boot environment, totally minimal system to play this game. And then initially, I might be wrong, but I think maybe Diablo 1 only supported IPX for LAN play, so then you had to add IPX to that stack, which was just a pain in the butt. It's a different time.
I mean, I remember as a wee lad trying to basically shoehorn this into my school's very crappy, very underpowered beige computers.
Yeah, and then after Diablo, my next real kind of LAN love was Quake. Quake 1, 2, and 3.
Oh yeah, Quake and Unreal.
Yeah. Unreal was great too, but Quake really was the one that seemed to. We were able to play it on the computer lab systems. Video cards weren't really a thing as much back then. These computers could just do it.
But I could give you a quick fun story to end on.
Okay.
So it was a thing at my public school?
Okay, what?
A very unsecured network drive.
Oh,
that
my favorite.
allowed execution
Yes.
of applications. So, how does the nerd avoid trouble? Well, you install Unreal Tournament into the Z drive. Yes, that all students have.
Of course. And then it's available on any computer you want, too.
You name the folder academic.
Oh, smart.
You upload the following items. Every picture from Avril Lavigne's first Maxim magazine spread.
Maxim magazine.
That's right. That you had pirated off Lycos.
No.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And Unreal Engine and a shareware version of Diablo. Because no one will beat you up if they need you for tech support to shoot their friends in Unreal.
This is diabolical because if it's on the Z drive, then that means any computer, I think I did something very similar. Any computer you sit down at, you could, as long as it can mount the Z drive, you got access to your video game.
Oh, yeah, that's the whole point. I did unfortunately get caught.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because I found out the computer teacher was playing it.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was like, you did a good job installing this. You just forgot to use a different username. It's like,
Yeah.
Crap. I got an A, though. I did get in trouble. I got an A, and then AP it was.
Huh.
So for all our younger listeners, commit the crime first, right? And see what happens.
Yeah, you just ask for forgiveness.
If you have a very understanding, kind of fuddy-duddy old man computer teacher who, another fun fact, hated Java, and this is a direct quote because I was one of two kids taking AP Computer Science. It was the first year they made a Java. He said, I don't know why they're wasting your guys' time and talent with this. This stupid toy language is never going to go anywhere.
I love those.
And he was a crotchety old man. He was mistaken. Let's say.
I want to buy you a gift, but I want to see if you can guess the price, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the Rocktober 2004 Avril Lavigne Maximum Magazine Edition on eBay, what do you think it's going for? And it's in very good condition.
Okay, so 2014.
No, 2004. 2004.
Oh, so
Sorry.
this is the one this is the one.
This is the Rocktober 2004 Maximum Avril Lavigne. Also, there is a Britney spread in here as well.
Never a Britney fan. Never a Britney fan.
What do you think the price is for this, this obvious keepsake?
$500.
Yeah, I was thinking $40, something like that. But $7.09.
Oh, wow. I thought it'd be worth a lot more.
Me too. I thought it was going to be ridiculously stupid. That's why I looked it up. There's some that go for, there's another one of hers from November of 2010, so a little bit later, that goes for $13.99. And one bloke is selling it for some reason for $14.25.
I bet if you got her to sign it, you'd get into the hundreds.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So guess who I'm meeting on Sunday?
Avril Lavigne?
No, Mary McDonald. You know her as President Roslyn.
What?
She's coming to Tampa Comic Con. I already bought my ticket and everything.
Oh, yeah, you got to go say hi to her,
Yeah.
What do you suppose the most requested line from her is? What do people
I don't know.
always
I'm
ask her to
probably
say?
going to have a heart attack on the spot. So,
All right, Mr. Dominic, is there anywhere you want to send people before we get out of here?
Probably St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa if it's after the afternoon of Sunday. No, at Dumanuku on Threads and Twitter. But I have to say I dipped my toes in again, and I think Chris is right. I'm pretty much, if you at me, I will look and respond. But I'm probably not doing much on there anymore.
Yeah. Don't forget, we do have the show Matrix. We are in there, coder.show/Matrix. We'd love to have you. And the show's typically live on Tuesdays, but when we're not, you can find out what our real schedule is at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. Links to what we talked about today are at coder.show/584. And you can get the links to everything we talked about, as well as our feedback page and our RSS feed, so you can just, get the dang show whenever you want. I don't know. I'm not your dad. Listen when you want. You don't have to listen live. It's fine.
Listen twice.
See you next week.